Hi, this is Denise Mathew, and today I'm going to make these double circle rings. I'm making them two ways. One is just with a single bead, and then the other is just sort of like a flower where you have all the beads around. Now the thing about these rings is that when they're worn, if you notice, the base of the ring is not right in the center. So it's a little bit where you have it more up or down rather than right in the center. So it's an interesting ring to wear for a knuckle ring or a regular ring as well. Any types of beads or crystals will be sufficient, or you could just use the one pearl. So let's get started. So I'm going to work off the spool. I'm going to use my multi-level looping pliers. If you're making a circle, you might want to use something that's consistent. You can use your round nose pliers as well, but I'm using these because they're a little bit bigger and I know it's consistent. So I'm just going to wrap the wire right around my pliers like that. I sort of double the loop. And then once that's done, I'm just going to take my ring mandrel. You can also use a dowel if you want to, or your finger. So I'm just going to make a size 7 ring. So I'm just going to go to size 7. Press the circle right against the mandrel and just bring the wire right around the other side. And I just want to have enough wire on this side before I cut it so that it will sort of be the same, enough to make a circle that's exactly the same size. So that's something you can measure how much wire you use for your circle, or you could also just eyeball it like I'm going to do. So I'm just going to cut that off about here. And now I'm just going to make the exact same circle on the other side around the pliers. You can open that up if you want. So now I have two exact same circles, and then now all I need to do is connect the two together. So push them together like that. So this is what you have. Now if you find that you don't want as much wire behind there, you can trim back some of that right now if you want. Like there's a bit of more of a tail right here, so if you want to trim that back, I'll actually do that just to show you. So just so you have a little bit less to wrap around. Once you start to wrap it with your wire, it will bring everything together as well. If you notice, the circle is not going to be perfectly centered, as in if you wore a ring it would be sort of in the center and then it should be about here. It still works perfectly fine, but that's just something that you might notice. So now I'm just going to take, I'm working with a 26 gauge wire. I have about 1.5 feet of wire. So I'm just going to start wrapping at the top. You can start wrapping anywhere you like, but I find that working at the top is actually the best place. So just start to wrap that. You can leave a little tail if that's easier for you. So just wrap that in. Just wrap a couple loops, and that's basically just to stabilize your wire on the circles. You want this to be nice and sturdy so that it'll hold everything together. So just pushing it right through and just right around that. You can adjust it as you go. And try and keep your coils tight. Now I have a couple of coils done. I don't want to go too far with the coils because I want to start making the beads, and if I do too many coils I won't be able to cover it up with the beads. So I have these 3mm ruby rondelles. I'm just going to start to string those on. So I just put the first one right there, and I'm going to put it like flat like that, and then just go once around, right through the ring part and then through the hole like that. And so you would have something that looks like that. Now you can always bring it forward so that it's a little bit closer to the front. You'll find the first one is probably the one that's going to give you the most trouble, just to arrange it where you want it to be. But then after that, the rest should be pretty simple. So this is another one. So now I'm not going to be going through the ring part, I'm just going through the circle. So I'm just going to wrap it around the circle because I've already gotten to the point where it's not connected to the ring. And just bring them close together like that. And then one more. You're going to continue doing this until you go right around and all of the circle is covered. You want to push the other one a little bit aside to make sure that they're nice and tight. So that's what you have so far. And then you would do another one. And just hold it with your fingers so that the bead doesn't go back too far, because it can go right on the back of the ring, and that's not really where you want it. You sort of want it on the outsides of the circle. If you notice, I'm giving it quite a tug in between to make sure that it's nice and tight. Now probably just one more, and we'll probably be done. Now for the last one, you're just going to go right in the base of the ring again, right through the hole, and then right around. You're only going to do that twice for the beginning, or twice or 3 times according to how long it takes to get to the other side. This one you want to try and position so that it looks like it's a complete circle. Alright, and then just do a couple more wraps. That's basically just to finish it off, just to stabilize it, maybe 1 or 2. And then you can just go back and you can adjust everything and then just trim it back. And what you can do is take that wire and just tuck it into the other wires. Sort of tuck it in so that there's nothing that's going to poke you when you wear it. And then again, just adjust it. You can still see a little bit of where the wire is, but I find it looks okay actually. You can just push it a little bit, adjust it so that it doesn't show up so much. So that would be your completed ring. So the other version, I'll show you in just a minute. So I've already made this ring, and now I'm just going to add this pearl in the center. So the one thing is you just have to measure your circle against your bead so that they'll fit. And the closer it is to the circle, the nicer it will look, but it's not essential. I also have a 26 gauge wire. I have about 1.5 feet as well. The first thing you're going to do with this is you're going to make sure it's centered on the wire so you have equal lengths on both sides. And then what you're going to do is put that pearl right in the center. And it doesn't matter which side you start working on. You can work on the right or the left. And you're just going to do a couple wraps just to stabilize it. And you can do that. You're going to do that for one side, and then you're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, so that's one side done, and then just go to the other side, do the exact same thing. When you're stabilizing, the one thing you want to make sure you do is that when I put the wraps on, I'm wrapping down, so I want to wrap the opposite way with the other side. So when I put my wire through, same thing, wraps, I want to make sure that it's coming from the top of where, so I want to have it wrapped at the top rather than below the wire, the original wire where I started. Okay, so this is, you're going to wrap it up instead of down. So see if it's going upwards, and you can always use your fingernails just to push those coils back together because you want to have them as tight as possible. So I'm just going to continue to wrap with this one wire that I have right here, and I'm wrapping up. The intention is that I'm going to wrap all the way over to this side with this one wire, and then I'm going to use this other wire to wrap all the way down. So everything will be wrapped, it'll all be in, and it'll look like it's all sort of coming together. So just continue to wrap. Now you're going to have to go in around the base of the ring, and that might make it a little bit more messy, but it might show a little bit more on the coils, but it's really not much more you can do with it other than that. Just braiding around, and just do your best to make it look like it's all sort of melding together. That's the only place that will be a little bit more difficult for you to do. So just continue to weave that through. And push those coils together. And just try and really pull taut when you're pulling your coils. Just make sure your bead is centered so that each loop, and if it's not, you can always just take these down a little bit so that they're a little bit more centered. So just continue wrapping until you're right to where you started on the other side. You can use your pliers, it might help you. It'll also help you to pull it a little tighter. So you notice it's sort of a little bit wider here, but again, that's just pulling everything together, and it's not really going to show. It actually doesn't look too bad. So continue on, and then once you sort of have gone along the band, you can slide that wire back down so that it's just around the circle down there, not really in the base anymore, not in the ring part. Push it together. I think I'm just going to have enough. And that's something you want to gauge. Make sure you have enough wire to get through everything you need to get through. Alright, so I just have enough. Tuck that in like that. Alright. Now if your circles have sort of come into place, you can just use your pliers, just to squeeze them together a little bit more. So I've coiled it all around, and I just went right to the end. I probably could have used a little bit more wire. I probably could have had a little bit more to coil it a little bit tighter than that, but I mainly did it. So then that would be your completed ring. Now if your ring is come out of shape like this one has, you can just put it back on your ring mandrel so that it's a little bit, or your dowel, whatever you're using, and then it should be ready to wear. And when you put it on, it's going to be sort of, you could wear it like sort of up, or you can wear it down like that. It just makes for an interesting ring. So this concludes the tutorial. I hope you liked it. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. We'll see you next time. Thanks for coming. Bye for now.